In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I approach clipping lines at the top of the legs. There are several ways to do this. You will find out which works for you best, but this is one of the methods that I opt for. Of course, as I always say, be really careful around horses, especially when you stood right behind them. Ensure that you're using your hands to warn the horse where you are and let them know where you stood and where you're going to be. So, when it comes to shaving any lines specifically on horses to get an equal shape, you want to be guided by the anatomy of the horse and the muscle structures. It is possible to use chalk and line out, but ultimately, I would like all my budding horse barbers to start using their eyes and visually measuring out where the lines go according to the anatomy of the horse, because this gives you complete full reign in the future to change where you put your lines. It's really good practice, and it also enables the freehand clipping, especially when you venture into creative clipping if you decide to. So a really good example of distinguishing between the different muscle groups to guide your clip is actually at the front leg. So first we're going to look down the chest. Now when the hair is still on, it's still really visible to see the noticeable difference where this particular chest muscle separates from the front leg. And we're going to use that actual line as a guide to where to run the clipper down in the downward angle like so. Next, we're going to look at this muscle here. This is a really common line that you will have seen on most traditional clips where the body is clipped off and the leg is left on. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I approach it and some techniques on how to get this line correct. Not clipping too high, not clipping too low, but just right. Now you can actually be completely guided by the muscle. The muscle will give you the answer that you need to know as to where you need to clip your line in for the best finish. So I'm going to walk you through the visualization process. So let's take a step back from the horse and look at the horse's shoulder while it's still furry. In my mind, I'm looking where this red line's going, following the muscle, and I would clip ever so slightly below where this red line is. Can you see the natural change in the position of the coat? This is due to the muscle formation meeting the leg. Next, I'm going to show you an example where I have gone too far past what the anatomy is telling me. So can you see how the muscle here, the line is above it, and I've gone slightly below? On the opposite end of the scale, we can possibly clip too high, leaving too much of the muscle on over the shoulder as well. So here you can see it's above the natural anatomy of the shoulder muscle. If I wanted a nice tidy finish, I'd just drop this clip line an extra inch. Doing this, however, can be used to your advantage, because if you aim to clip a bit higher, you've always got a bit more to play with and a bit more fur to clip off. So really, this is a great opportunity for you to actually have a practice within the one clip. Clip higher and then go down in stages. As I always say, it's not one rule fits all. It all depends on the horse stood in front of me. So sometimes I'll leave the leg on, I'll clip the body off, but I'll take some extra off in the elbow area, particularly if they've got lots of folds of skin, or they could end up with sores there as well. So we sometimes clip more off for that reason. Another method is some people like to actually take all the back leg off, but leaving the front of the leg on. So they'll clip down the back, removing the feather, but retaining the fur on the front of the leg. And now I'm going to show you a technique. So I'm using my hand just to touch and feel the muscle under that fur and map out where I plan to cut in. And then with my A5 clipper, taking away the elbow first in the upward angle, removing that fur, checking once again where the muscle is, and you'll see I'm just using my left hand to pull that skin down, because if you pull it down, it springs back up and you've got fur to work with. If you pull that fur up and the skin up, then you can end up clipping lower than you actually meant to. It's okay to do it in stages. You can always add to it. See, if I pulled that fur up, I would end up clipping lower by accident. There we go. So sorry about the shadow here. I always manage to stand in the shadow. So I've cut my line in there, following the muscle, and then now I'm lifting up the skin to remove that excess fur. And now I'm going to expand on clipping that elbow area off underneath by pulling the skin up, stretching those wrinkles, and taking great care not to nick the horse in this area. It is much safer to clip this area with the A5 clipper. A2 clippers, the heavy duties, it's really easy to cut them in this area, so do take great care. And then using my opposite hand at all times to pull that skin along to make it easier for me to scoop out that fur in all those nooks and crannies. And now I'm going to really delicately, just with maybe half of the blade or less, just remove the fur that's sat in the folds of the elbow there. It is really common to find scabs in this area, or sometimes the horses can bang themselves with the hooves as well. So just take great care not to accidentally cut through any scabs or old wounds. The same theory applies to the back leg. What we want to do is take that point from the back leg to the point of stifle. We don't want to go too low on the stifle, or it'll look like the horse's legs are really stumpy. We don't want to leave it too high because it will look like the horse has got huge back legs as well. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking where that stifle meets, and I'm visualising and following the anatomy right up to that point of stifle. A top tip to help you get the line right: ask the horse to back up so that back leg is extended back and they're not stood in front of themselves.